Hey, what's good, everybody? Thank you for coming to chill with me, the one and only Sun-Seated Tea. Yes, that is me. Hope everybody's beautiful, doing beautiful today. It's a beautiful sunny day where I'm at. I hope the sun's out where you're at. Enjoy that beautiful wind, that beautiful sun, the elements around you. Today I want to talk about self-love, the concept of self-love and how detrimental it is for the evolution and the foundation of who you are as an individual. Self-love is, they don't teach self-love for a reason. It doesn't matter whether you're supposedly it's tough love or soft love. None of that matters if you never learn how to love in the first place. They say, a lot of times they say love has no boundaries, and that's the farthest thing from the truth. Lack of self-love has no boundaries. Because when you do not love yourself, you will put up with any and everything, knowing that you're worth way more than the strife, than the mental anguish and the chaos, knowing that you're way more than the bullshit. Love, a lot of times, is actually saying no and refraining from repeating certain cycles, repeating certain toxic bullshit in your life, not allowing certain entities, people, places, or things to come into your field of vibration. After you gain a certain level of self-love, cultivate that self-awareness and mindfulness, you learn that not every situation, person, place, or thing is for you. You're really not supposed to allow everything in your life. There are some things we can't stop. We can't prohibit everything from coming across our paths. But you can prohibit how you let it affect you. Saying no is detrimental in order to preserving your mental space, your serenity, your tranquility, the grace you have within yourself, learning to say no. Because a lot of times in my past, I was put in a lot of depressing, negative situations because of my lack of self-love, because I thought everything was for me. I thought every situation, person, place, and thing was gonna treat me the way I wanted to be treated. Knowing damn well I wasn't even treating myself how I wanted to be treated. It literally starts with your self-awareness. Once you become aware of self, you become aware of how to love yourself. Before I had my awakening, I was eating like shit 24/7. I was hanging around people I was hanging around people I had to second guess 24/7, thinking in my head, why am I here? But still doing it because I was lonely. I had no self-love. I had no awareness. So I would just hang around anybody just to fill that void. I would do anything just to fill that void, steadily drinking, steadily smoking, steadily abusing my body, lack of sleep, self-hatred rituals, such as overindulgence of alcohol, of food, negative, toxic, low vibrational food, all that. I was indulging in all those self-hatred rituals, thinking that I was, gaining rank or some kind of badge or some kind of admiration or some kind of, elevation. In reality, I was deteriorating slowly, and it turned into a slow thing. Eventually, it turned into a fast deterioration, a fast decline of health, mental, spiritual, all of that. until I hit that breaking point, and I realized it can't go on like this. There has to be something better. I know there's something better. I feel it. So eventually, there's a story, yo. I got into fasting. I got into intermittent fasting at first, and it all sparked because I was following, you know, pages on Instagram, all kinds of information on the internet these days. I was seeing things about veganism and about how, you know, the things you eat affect you mentally, spiritually, and physically. What you eat affects you a great deal. So I started to get into all that, and eventually I started to, you know, advocate against certain eating habits and certain self-hate rituals such as drinking and smoking and stuff like that while I was still doing those things. So it was kind of like I was in a hypocritical stage. I wanted to be that. I wanted to be a vegan. I wanted to, you know, be off of alcohol. I wanted to, you know, advocate a healthy lifestyle, a healthy mindset, healthy choices. But I was still doing negative, toxic, karmic activities, self-hatred activities and rituals. So there was this one specific time. It was about a half a year after I started fasting. I began to be more avid with my fast. This one specific time, I decided to go on a 7-day fast. The longest fast I had up to that date, the longest fast I had engaged in or initiated. So I went on a 7-day fast. And, you know, all my previous fasts were like 3 days at the longest. And I would break them all with meat. I would break them all with, you know, fried foods, just nasty things that I knew I shouldn't have been breaking my fast with. I would be drinking still, all kinds of crazy things. So I went on a 7-day fast. On the 6th night of the 7th, on the 6th night, that night leading up to the 7th day of my fast, I was about to complete it. That 6th night, I got invited out to drink with a group of friends. And I was still drinking and living unhealthy. My mindset had not shifted yet. So me being in that state, I agreed. I was elated. I was like, hell yeah, let's turn up, shit. I ended up getting sloppy drunk. I remember busting out into a profuse sweat. I was dripping sweat, dancing. I was dancing. Mind you, I hadn't eaten for 6 days, 6 whole days. Going on to the 7th. I remember that night I kept going outside. I was smoking cigarettes back to back, smoking Black & Milds back to back. And after we left the club that night, me and a group of friends, we smoked some weed, smoked a couple blunts, and shit, I was feeling good. I was under heavy delusion. I was feeling good. But at the same time, I would notice when I tried to walk around, it was more than just being drunk. It was really intense. So I remember that night I decided to have sex, and this was a pivot, vital, very huge mistake. It was the start, it was the beginning of a whole new era in my life, a whole new way of living for me. That night I decided to have sex, and I ejaculated. I busted a fucking fat nut. And that, if anybody knows about semen retention, anything like that, you know that semen for a male, that is your life force. That is the accumulation of everything you absorb, put into one substance to create life. If you're not making a baby with it, it's helping to sustain your vessel. It's helping to sustain your mind, your soul. So I released that. You know, no big deal, no big deal. I felt, after sex, I felt so depleted. Oh my goodness, I didn't feel like I was gonna die or anything, but I just felt out of there. Like, I was sweating more than normal. I just laid there and couldn't recollect anything. So that next morning, that next day, I woke up late, very late. And I had a couple missed calls. I decided to, I returned one specific phone call, and a group of friends were waiting outside for me. A different group of friends were waiting outside, and they're like, "Hey, you trying to smoke?" I was like, "Hell yeah, fuck it." I went to go smoke with them, and when I went to go smoke with them, I took 2-3 hits of the blunt, and I started hearing the most intense ringing in my ear, almost like my eardrums were about to explode. And I started tasting blood. I started tasting blood heavily in my mouth. My vision started to blur so crazy. I started to basically go blind. And I stumbled. I dropped the blunt. I didn't even hand it back to them. I dropped the blunt, and I stumbled out of their truck and started to spit up blood. Right then, I knew I had to make a move. So I ran inside of my house. At the time, I was living with my mother. I ran inside of my house. It wasn't a run. I stumbled inside of my house. I hit my head on the wall. And all I can remember is looking at my mom and my 2 sisters. And the last voice I heard was, if you pass out, I'm calling the ambulance. I'm calling the police. I'm calling the ambulance. If you pass out. That's the last thing I remember. And then I fell unconscious. I don't want to say a light. It wasn't a light. It was a kaleidoscope of colors, a burst of just all kinds of, I want to say, it was a burst of all kinds of pictures and all kinds of lights. And I heard a voice that sounded like mine, except deeper. I feel like it was my higher self, or the source, which is connected directly to your higher self. So we're all connected to the source. But I heard a voice, and it wasn't speaking to me in like a benevolent, it was speaking to me like man to man. It was like, bro, you out here talking all this shit, talking about eat vegan, eat healthy, give up the booze, stop drinking, stop the bullshit, stop chain smoking, stop polluting your body. You out here talking all that tough shit, but you ain't doing none of that. You ain't walking it like you talking it. You ain't being an example for nobody. You're really doing more harm than you are good. Cause anybody sees you spreading that bullshit, but they see the lifestyle that you live in, nobody gonna take you serious. The voice told me, I'm gonna send your spirit, your spark, back to your body. This is your last chance. This is the only chance I'm giving you to get it right. And as soon as that line was finished, I remember coming back to consciousness, and my body rose up from the ground. And my mom and sisters were looking at me, and my mom had the phone in her hand, and she was like kind of like smiling, like almost like she knew what the fuck just happened. It's unexplainable, but I just remember sitting down in a chair. They got me some peaches and cherries and stuff, a little fruit cup, and some water. I could just remember sitting down in a chair, like petrified. I was beyond afraid. I was beyond afraid. My heart was beating so crazy. I thought I was gonna go back in unconscious for about 2-3 days after it happened. But they got me the fruit cup and the water, and I went and sat outside in the sun. And I was just sun gazing. I was looking up at the sun, and my liver or wherever by my stomach started pulsating like doo 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 doo, just hard, heavily. And I can remember thinking that was the last straw. From that, once that situation, that scenario happened, I instantly gave up drinking and went vegan that day. This was 3 years ago. This was 2.5 years ago. In 3 months, it'll be 3 years. Literally. I gave up meat. I gave up dairy. I gave up alcohol instantaneously after that happened. It was the beginning of Sun Seated. I transitioned after that, I transitioned instantly. And from there, I went from talking the talk to wholeheartedly putting every bit of faith I had in God, in the divine realm. Every bit of faith in the divine realm. And it was a slow process. It was very slow. Compared to who I am now and who I was then, I pray every single day. I pray after every meal. I pray when I go to sleep. I pray when I wake up. I pray when I'm feeling weak. I pray. I get sunlight every single day. If the sun's not out, I go outside and look at the clouds. I get the sun rays regardless. I'm gonna get sunshine. Like, I have to. It's the only way for me to live. Since then, I've gone on 30-day fast where I ate nothing but sunlight. I absorbed nothing but sunlight. I earthed every day, and I was still going to work. I was still maintaining normal relationships with people, good jobs, all kinds of things. It was just like my world shifted into a more spiritual, and the wind blowing right now, that's confirmation. The winds of change, you know, they will always, you know, reaffirm what divinity is trying to tell you. So from there, this me praying and talking to my spirit guides, my ancestors, the angelic presence, the moon, the sun, all the elements around me, that came just within. I've talked to the sun for 5 years. I started sun gazing before I even had that incident. Before anything, that's really what sparked the light inside of me, is when I started sun gazing. I was watching this dude on YouTube. I don't know where he is now. Master of the Universe, some black dude. He was ripped. It was crazy. This dude really busted my mind open, because it was like, before I even knew what synchronicity, numerology was, he wasn't talking about that. But I would be watching his videos and I would look at the clock. It would be like 3:33 at night. It would be like, you know, and this was before I even knew anything about vibrations and how everything's connected, the laws of the universe, anything like that. So, man, Master of the Universe, he's on YouTube still, but he's on hiatus. He hasn't posted a video in 3-4 years. So probably longer than that. But anyway, that started my journey, and since then, it's like I've healed from past life traumas. I've cured and reestablished generational wealth and health. I've gotten rid of generational karma. You know what I mean? There's so many things, and I've slowly progressed. Slowly, and I say slowly, but people see me. I used to weigh 315 pounds. Right now, I'm at 190, and that's because I've been eating crazy. I've been eating a lot, but my normal weight's like 180, 185, and like, I'm ripped, I'm toned. I used to be 315 pounds. I hated my life. I was in a steady, constant depression every day. I really didn't drink all that much. I just, being an empath, I stored most of my my emotions in excessive eating, and I gained a whole lot of weight. And once my awakening happened, I started taking fasting seriously, like just fasting. No, you know, like I said in the past, I would break my fast with food or with meat and like heavy foods and nasty foods. After that situation, I started taking my fasting serious. I became very avid. I have fasted ever since I started fasting. I have fasted every month for 3 days. That's like a requirement for me. Every month I have to fast for 3 days. I clean my vessel out for 3 days. Like I said, there's been months where I went ultimate and I did 30 days or 15 days, 7 days. But it just changed my whole perspective of life. And every time I fasted, I got divine intuition, divine intelligence, wisdom. I would have I would come out of amnesia, where I would know exactly who I was from past lives. I would have so much divine knowledge and intelligence, and I started to notice people started to gravitate towards me like moths to a light. I would start to attract mystic beings, beings that were, you know, had unexplainable auras to them. It was kind of like, you know, in Hercules, when Hercules talked to the statue of his father, that was like basically his connection to the divine realm, to the astral. When the devil, the Hades' two little demon servants, when they got into the bodies of those children, they embodied those children, and they were able to walk on this physical plane of existence and, you know, blend in. That's how life really is. Demons inhabit our bodies. Angels inhabit our bodies. They work through us. Divinity works through us. So instead of all the malevolent beings that were once inhabiting my body, it was like God hit a major reset in me, in my vessel, and he purged out. He helped the ultimate divine realm, mother, father. They helped me purge out all malevolence from my vessel, and they really helped me reconnect to divinity and established balance within my physical realm of existence, my universe. So once I reestablished that balance, I became basically what I had been since a child. I hate to, you know, put labels on shit, but an earth angel, basically. I started noticing, like, I had healing powers. My last two girlfriends, they literally, one of them was always in and out of the hospital, had cancer, had all kinds of, you know, health problems. We stayed together for a year. She lost like 50, 60 pounds, lost all of her health problems, and started to like grow into a happier individual. It was ridiculous. My ex before that, she was a habitual alcoholic. She couldn't get off of alcohol and drugs. We stayed together. She changed her whole life around. Once we separated, we went our separate ways. Unfortunately, they went back to those lifestyles. The one went back to being sickly, and the other went back to heavy drug and alcohol abuse. And it wasn't because of like I was, you're healed. But my lifestyle and my frequency, I didn't have to stay on their ass to say, I didn't have to, oh, you need to do this and that. Just how I was living, me fasting, me being 100% vegan, me believing in myself, trusting in the divine and God. It rubbed off on them. That divine aura rubbed off on them. And then that's when I woke up to motherfucking shit like succubus and incubus, and like that's when I woke up to the reality of the spiritual influence of this world. But I want to continue this video in another time. This is Sunseeded Tea. Hey, how y'all doing? Just hanging out, getting some sunlight. Every day. Hey, y'all be careful. But yeah, I want to continue this video at another time, but everything is not what it seems. Everything is not what it seems. Shit is a lot deeper than you could ever perceive. This world is only 10% of what actually is. The spirit world is very influential on the vessels, the environments. Everything here in this physical realm of existence is being constantly inhabited and influenced by a realm beyond our perception, beyond our human perception. And the more you connect with divinity, the more you can see these things. It says at one point we fell from divinity, and that's when we started eating the way we do. Necrophilia, eating of flesh, you know what I mean? Self-hatred rituals, putting toxins and poisonous objects and substances in your body, i.e. alcohol, smog from the smoke, you know, tobacco, all kinds of crazy things. It disconnects us from divinity and allows us, at some points we can tap into different levels of consciousness, but not all levels of consciousness are good levels of consciousness. Just because you're thinking different doesn't mean you're thinking divine or you're thinking benevolent. Sometimes those thoughts can be very malice. Those thoughts can be self-destructive and self-sabotaging. So there's a lot that comes with self-love. There's drawing boundaries within yourself, telling yourself you're not going to allow these frequencies in your vessel, and allowing yourself to know why, teaching yourself why these vibrations aren't good, why these substances aren't good or helpful for what you want to do or what you want to be in this lifetime. There's a lot of progression that needs to happen in your mental and spiritual, and in order for you to feel it in your physical. It all starts on a mental and physical level. Everything is vibrations. So with that being said, I want everybody to get out and get some sunlight. Energize your vessel. Make sure that you try to eat some fruit, some vegetables, a diet that's high in angstroms, that's high in electrical foods that energize your mind, because it all starts with a thought, and your thoughts are electricity. If you cannot conduct enough electricity, then you cannot conduct enough willpower to construct those thoughts on a three-dimensional plane. It all starts with your thoughts, your physical. So once you begin to energize your vessel, connect with the source, eat source foods, eat foods with soul in them, then it'll be that much easier. It's been 3 years, but it seems like just yesterday I was in that stuck, stagnant, lack, karmic mindset. It seems like it was just yesterday. People see me and they're like, you're not nowhere near the same person you were in high school. You're not that same person. I've completely transformed, gone through entire metamorphosis. I've met people and left people. They couldn't change. I had to keep going on my journey, because you will be deterred. There are entities hell-bent on harvesting your energy, taking everything that makes you divine. There's a couple times I slipped up, and in those mishaps and slip-ups, it actually helped me propel closer to divinity. It helped me break generational curses, knowing I had certain addictions and certain inhibitions that made me and my bloodline, my lineage, fail in the past. It helped me get a better perception of what I needed to fix. So not every failure is a fail. Sometimes it's a divine lesson that you actually needed in order to progress and level up. There's a lot of love and benevolence on this physical realm of existence, but it says in biblical terms, this is basically the devil's playground. The devil has inhibited this whole place, and the devil, I don't mean me personally. I'm very spiritual. I don't mean Lucifer. I mean low vibrational toxic entities. The law of polarity, the law of duality, it's very real. There's just no balance. There's lack of balance right now. So you're going to get more darkness than you have light. I was on a path to reclaiming my light because I was on a very dark route, which like most of the world is these days. Drinking. There's nothing healthy about drinking. There's nothing healthy about eating flesh. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to condemn those things, but it wasn't I didn't learn these things until I lived my whole adolescent life doing these things. So I had to experience that darkness in order to really appreciate what light really is, and in order to embody the balance of both. Because without light, there's no dark, and without darkness, there's no light. So, like I said, what's going on, man? Much love, much light, much dark, much balance, much grace, much happiness, fulfillment, satisfaction, wisdom, knowledge, contentment, ambition, fluidity, fulfillment, and wholeness to you. I hope everybody elevates to a space of grace, comfortability. You're beyond capable of anything you set your mind to. You're beyond capable, and it's actually easier than you'd ever perceive. The situations we're in right now, the way our knowledge is set up, we have to learn how to love ourselves in order to cultivate more power, more will, to open those doors, to create those lanes to success and triumph and victory that we want. There's a lot of love out here. Make sure you're focusing on the love. just as much as you focus on the hate, because it takes both to make a beautiful picture. Sunseeded out. We're going to finish this up in a later discussion. But leave your comments, likes, and subscribes. Let me know what you think about divinity. Let me know what you think about a higher power. Let me know your experiences on love, on self-love, on supernatural, entities, on things that you've seen, that you've experienced, that let you know that there is something different than just this physical plane. I would love to hear other people's insights, other people's words, encounters other people have had with different entities. Because we're all in this together. It's the circle of life. Everything I do affects you, and everything you do affects me, either directly or indirectly. One way or another, we are connected to the Almighty Source. Like I said, like, share, subscribe. Leave your comments. Let me know how you feel. Thank you for chilling with me. It's your boy, Sunseeded T.